At this time, I would ask Councilman Steve Young to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, please help us remember the people that we represent here in these city council meetings and help us, guide us into making the best possible decisions for the citizens of and the town of Boonville. And during miscellaneous tonight, please remind Ned that the Eagles and Colts play tonight. Amen.
Amen.
Some of that predictable.
Mary, did you get that?
Yeah. I want to see that in the minutes.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Roll call.
Young.
Here.
Evans.
Here.
Meadows. Here. Beach.
Here.
Hurt.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Ehlers.
Here.
Heaton.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, we'll have hearing of citizens' comments. If there's anyone here this evening that would like to make a comment, now is the time to do so.
Yes, I do. And my name is Martin Wiesner. And I live at 628 Crone. And my concern is the property at 636 Crone. The fellow that owns this house has taken it and remodeled it into 8 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, and 70-80% of his garage he's converted it into living space. It was my understanding when I bought my home at Crone that it was a single-family dwelling. I talked to the owner of the place, and he tells me he had it rezoned, and he can now put a duplex in this house. The people that live there are people that need assistance for living. And I know of 6, but there may be as high as 8. But I have seen 6 different women in this home. They need assistance to go anywhere. If they go somewhere, somebody has to drive them. They need help. My concern is my property value, and my biggest concern is he's operating a business, not a duplex. And I'll tell you why. He has 2 full-time employees that I know of, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Simple math, it's $7 an hour. I mean, that's 168 times 2, that's 366 a week, times 7, that's 2352 a week, times 4, that's almost $10,000 a month he's paying in salaries just to operate that house. Doesn't sound like that's a duplex to me. I don't know where you can go in Boonville and charge that kind of money to cover your expenses for a duplex. I don't believe it's possible. He also operates 2 full-time vans there that these women take the caregivers take the people who live there wherever they need to go. 6 of them leave every morning and they come back late in the evening. I know this is not a major concern, but it's one that got me started looking into it. They have their 2 vans, they have plus the 2 people that work there, plus visitors on weekends. The police department has gone there in past months on numerous occasions, and you can get the police records and check it. I've tried to go home, and they wouldn't get out of the street. I had to physically drive somewhere else to my house, is what got me started looking into it. Now, the owner, I've talked to him, and he swears that he has the right to have it. It's a duplex, it's nothing else, but it doesn't add up to me being a duplex. It's just not possible. He can't get that much money, he can't cover his expenses, and he's remodeled the entire place. He's put new siding, new windows, new doors, And once again, 8 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms in a 3-bedroom home. Of course, it's got a walkout basement, and I'm sure the basement's been all remodeled. And I asked him, I says, did the City of Boonville require you to get a permit? He said, yes. He says, I presented my plans to the city. They charged me $150, and here I am. Of course, I would like to know, did he do it? Did he get a permit? I would like to know if anybody's ever investigating to see that he is running a business, because I believe he is. And I don't think there's any doubt about it. And I would like something done for the traffic problem that they create. And on weekends, somebody has little kids running in and out of this house. And I don't know who they belong to. All I know is I see them. Now, I've got a lot of more detail. I've got a lot of comings and goings that I wrote down. And I see my 5 minutes is just about up. So at this point, I'll quit and go on my way. And hopefully you'll look into it and let me know what you discover.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you, appreciate it.
We will look into it. Marty, would you please, did you write your phone number down
Yeah,
there?
882-3206.
Okay,
Plus, I'm in the book.
okay,
All
very
right,
good.
thank
Not
you.
everybody is, so that's good. Any other citizens' comments? Seeing none, we'll move along to approval of the minutes of the September 2nd meeting. They were in your packet, and you've had plenty of time to read over those. Any additions or corrections? Seeing and hearing none, they will stand as presented. Consent items, we have none. Presentation of accounts and claims. Mary, when you're ready.
Ordinance appropriating money. Be it ordained by the Council of the City of Boonville as follows. Section 1. For the purpose of paying salaries and various accounts against the City of Boonville, which have been allowed by the Council at the regular meeting thereof on September 15, 2014, the sum of $281,660.91. General Fund, $105,244.39. Sanitation, $28,959.85. CIP tax, $19,653.29. Waterworks, $76,209.93. Capital projects, $749.10. Wastewater, $24,173.22. Tourism, $18,435.59. Gaming, $8,235.54. Parks and Water, 0. Section 2, the bookkeeper is hereby authorized and instructed to draw checks on the respective city bank accounts in favor of the persons whose salaries and accounts have been allowed as above, amounting to $281,660.91, being the total amount of money above appropriated. Section 3, this ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage. First reading on September 15, 2014, read for the second time this 15th day of September 2014, since a copy was made available prior to the meeting.
Second reading, title only.
Ordinance appropriating money.
Mayor, make a motion this be approved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Becky, raise your hand. Roll call.
Young,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Ayers.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Unfinished business. Item A, fiscal year 2013-14 audit presentation. And it says Fred Cordy, but actually it's going to be Mr. Chitwood and Mr. Hunley representing Girding, Cordy, and Chitwood. And we always look forward to this evening, so thank you guys for being here.
Looking forward to it. As Julie said, my name is Travis Hunley. This is my partner Jeff Chitwood, and we're with the firm Girding, Cordy, and Chitwood, and we're here to present the audit report to you guys tonight. We won't take much time because Monday Night Football, I guess, is on. So we want to get Steve out of here before we. Jeff's going to start with the financial statements and other information, and then I'll kind of finish up with the internal control letter and the audit communications letters you guys have. But before Jeff begins, we want to thank take the opportunity to thank the city for allowing us to do the audit. It's nice to have a good continuing relationship with longstanding clients, especially here in the city. And it's a pleasure working with Earl and Alicia. Alicia does a lot of work getting ready for the audit. If you ever come in here while we're doing it, there's papers everywhere. So, and also all the department heads here, they get all the stuff ready for we need in their various departments. So I first wanted, you guys got a nice staff here, and commend the city on that, and thank you for letting us do the audit. But I'll let Jeff start with the financial statements here.
Good evening. I would also like to thank the city staff. They really do a good job when we come in and do the audit, and it's really a smooth process. So I'm just going to go over the financials very briefly, the financial report. These are your financial statements. We come in and audit them, but we don't take credit for them. These are the city statements. We come and make suggestions if need be, and then get those to where you have an audit report in front of you. Starting on pages 1 through 3, if we kind of go through the report, is the audit opinion. Our job is to audit based on governmental auditing standards to obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are not materially misstated. And as in prior years, the last several years, we had a clean opinion on the financial statements. The format from this has changed a little bit from prior years, but the main points, no changes, a clean opinion has been issued. Kind of the good section for you guys to look over and for others to read is the management's discussion and analysis, which starts on page 4, goes through page 14. And what that is just a summary of the parts that are behind it. It's a real high-level summary of the detail that's back behind. And it's real good just to kind of read and get a summary of what happened during the past fiscal year. Starting on page 15 is what's called the government-wide financial statements. Those have a section for the governmental activities, which is your general fund, your capital improvements fund, those kind of funds, and also a side for the business-type activities, which are your enterprise funds, water, sewer, sanitation. And those are all combined onto one statement, the statement of net position and also the statement of activities, kind of where you can get a feel for the overall activities of the city during the year. Back behind that, starting on page 18, are the governmental funds. And those are just the general fund, gaming tax fund, and then other governmental funds that are non-major funds of the city rolled up into one column there. And as you can see on page 19, the city had an increase during the year of $1.5 million in net position in the governmental funds, which is really good. An increase is always a good thing. Page 24 is the business type activities, and those are the water, sewer, and sanitation funds of the city. Those are all there for you to look at, broken out in individual columns. And then on page 26 is the income statement part of that, which showed an increase before this prior period adjustment, which I'll talk about here in a second, of $645,000 overall in those enterprise funds for the year. I'll go ahead and talk about this prior period adjustment. It's on page 26, and it's also back on page 17. And what that is, that's nothing the city did wrong or anything like that. There's a new accounting standard that was put into place this fiscal year. In previous years, we had unamortized bond costs. When you sold bonds, you could put bond costs as an asset and amortize those throughout the life of the bond. The accounting standard changed this year, and they no longer allow that. So what we had to do is adjust your beginning net position for what you had at the end of last year, showing as unamortized bond costs. So that is just a item we had to put in the financial statements this year. And that's explained further in the footnotes as well, but that's what that is. And then starting on page 29, we have the footnotes, and those are broken out into 4 different sections. Those haven't changed a whole lot over the last couple of years. Note 1 lists out the significant policies of the city. Note 2 is stewardship and compliance. It lists things such as cash, what makes that up. Note 3 are detailed notes on the individual accounts in the financials. And then note 4 is just other information, kind of everything else that needs to be disclosed in accordance with government auditing standards. And then the last couple sections of the report on page 64 is required supplementary information, which is required in the financial statements. And that details out just some pension information. You guys use loggers. So that is just something that they provide to us, and then we stick in the financial statements to be in compliance, showing what the value of the city's assets are in the pension, what the liability is. And if you look on page 64 under the funded ratio, the city is 99% funded for that, so that's really good, and that's a good thing for the city. Not many cities have that high of a ratio. And that is pretty much it. The pages behind that are supplementary information, which are just the detailed financials of the non-major governmental funds, which are broken out into the balance sheet and the income statement portion of that, so you can see those in a little more detail. The only other thing I kind of wanted to mention is an upcoming accounting standard which will affect the city, and that's GASB 68 is what it's called. That won't be in effect this current fiscal year, but it will be in effect the fiscal year after that. And that has to do with pensions, and it's going to change virtually everyone's financial statements in a pretty big way. And what that's going to require is for the city to book a liability showing what is owed for pensions for people who are currently working, people who have retired, all combined, and it will require evaluation done by an actuary to determine what that is for the city. Then we will be required to then audit that. The city will have that on their books, and it will kind of look a little bit different because you'll have you may have a large liability showing up on your financial statements that you haven't had in the past. And like I said, that's not going to show up this current year, but it will show up fiscal year 2016. And we have kind of talked with the city about what to expect and what will need to be done. And that's going to require some things from loggers, the retirement system, to get the city to determine what that liability will be. So, and that's going to be a new thing since it's a new standard. And it's a really big one that affects a lot of different entities in government. That's going to be kind of a working process as far as how that's audited and how it's presented and how everyone kind of gets used to that. So, are there any questions on the financial part of the audit report? Okay, I'll turn it back over to Travis.
If you get any questions while I'm going over the internal controls and stuff, just holler them out or raise your hand or whatever. The internal control compliance reports, they begin on page 77. And this report format hasn't changed much since last year either. We're required to opine on whether the city's compliance with the internal control measures are, whether we noticed any deficiencies in the internal control here at the city. And like last year's audit report, the one comment that we have, the significant deficiency, is that you have small number of personnel. Alicia's doing the work of 10 men. That's what she tells us anyway. So 10 people, I should say, not just men, 10 people. She's doing the work of 10 people, getting paid for one. But anyway, but we talk about this a lot in small cities. It's not economically feasible for a smaller city to pay 3 or 4 different people to segregate duties. One way you guys alleviate that as a council is to review the invoices that are being paid, that kind of stuff, and also the financial reports, that kind of stuff. That's a way to alleviate that as a council. Another comment we have this year is that the actual expenditures exceeded budgeted expenditures, and this is due to refunding proceeds to pay off the older debt. What you guys did was when you refunded, you saved a lot of money in principal and interest by refunding those, and it wasn't budgeted. So when we book the actual costs on the general fund, that kind of creates an additional expenditure it wasn't budgeted for, and we're just required to let you know that your budgeted expenditures were less than what your actual expenditures were, and it's basically because of that refunding issue. And we see that a lot when interest rates are low and everybody refunds their bonds, they forget to book it as a budgeted expenditure. When that bond is paid off, we see that a lot in cities and even in the districts we do. A lot of the school districts refund their bond issues. So we have this comment on several of our audits that we do with the refunding issues. The city budgeted the actual payments being made, just not the refunding part of it. So anyway, that's the two comments that we have as far as internal controls. We don't consider these to be major issues because Earl and Alicia were both aware of them at the time. And like I said, the small number of personnel, we have that same comment every year, and we have it on a lot of small entities. Any questions? That's kind of the audit report itself, the financial side, and then the internal control side. And then I'm going to touch, you should have an audit communications letter as well. And we're required to give you as a council an actual separate letter in addition to the audit report. Several years ago, the accounting governing boards thought that us as auditors were not communicating to the council well enough, so we have to issue a separate letter to you guys that basically summarizes kind of what we did, whether or not we have any disagreements with management, whether we encountered any difficulties, any significant adjustments we have to make. And on the second page, that's titled the corrected and uncorrected misstatements. In the past, we would always have whether or not we made adjustments, which we have adjustments every year. Now we're required to put the dollar amounts there. And so if you look at that corrected and uncorrected misstatements, the net income effect gives you the dollar amounts. And so number one, they're adjusted taxes receivable. What that is we have to, GASB 33, Alicia books the receivables at the end of the year for taxes. But there's a GASB pronouncement that says we have to look outside of, your fiscal year ends in March. We have to look outside of April. We have to do May and June's taxes as well, because some people pay their sales tax monthly, some people pay them quarterly, some people pay them yearly. And so a lot of times, some of these, several years ago, these were not being booked. And so the governing board says we need to account for those now, like 3 or 4 years ago. So that has changed. So that's why we have that adjustment. That adjustment's pretty much every year. And it's, like I said, we just have to give the net income effect now. The recops redemption, that again is the refunding of the bond issues. It seems like a large amount, but you had a large, refunding. So, and the record depreciation expense, that's also an entry we make every year because the depreciation, it changes every year. The city's list of assets is, numerous. So we keep track of those on depreciation schedules, and we have to make that adjustment to the city's books. Because the software to do the depreciation, it's not economically feasible for the city to have it itself. So it's several $1,000s renewal license each year. So we buy the software and then keep the depreciation on our computers. So that's the audit communications letter. We didn't have any disagreements with management. I don't remember if I said that, but that's an important thing. The other matters is there at the end of that letter. Nothing came to our attention that I haven't already mentioned. All in all, it was a good city audit, good clean opinion. And no other comments really that we had. So we'd be happy to entertain any questions at this time. And if not, we're here in town. If anybody ever has any questions, they can call us, email us.
Okay, very good. Sounds like a really good report.
Thank you. It is. And we commend the city for that. Like I said, these are your numbers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
New business, item A, consider in situ form technologies proposal for 2014 sewer line and manhole rehab project. It's in your packet from ML. ML, you want to make any comments on this?
This is the same as we've done every year the last several years. There's one change or one difference in our manholes. Our manhole list is a little longer than it's been. This year, we're doing an additional process besides the manhole lining, and that is called a chimney. That space between the top of the manhole, whether it be brick or a concrete block or a precast concrete, whatever the manhole is constructed out of, that neck that comes up through the top of the manhole and then the lid and ring is called the chimney, and we are doing a poly cured in place product to seal that also. We have watched our manholes that we have lined over the last several years, and we've noticed that in most cases we still see groundwater getting in around that, I guess you would say, transition between the masonry portion of the manhole and the metal portion. And that's an addition this year, as we're doing those chimney liners on all our manhole list. We continue to concentrate on brick manholes and the clay pipe that we have.
Any questions for Emil? Morris?
I'll make a motion this be approved.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Susan. Discussion? Roll call.
Young,
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Meadows.
Yes.
Beach.
Yes.
Hurt.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Ayers.
Yes.
Item B, consider resolution R 2014-13, accepting a bid from Missouri Builders Service for the 2014 roofing project, D Barracks on Kemper campus.
A resolution of the City of Boonville, Missouri, authorizing and approving an agreement between Missouri Builders Service and the City of Boonville, Missouri pertaining to 2014 roofing project, D Barracks on Kemper campus, and providing an effective date therefor. Whereas the City of Boonville has solicited and received bids for this project and determined that the Missouri Builders Service represents the best bid pursuant to the purchasing code set forth in Section 2-20 of the City of Boonville Code of Ordinances. Therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Boonville, Missouri as follows. Section 1, that a certain agreement between Missouri Builders Service and the City of Boonville, Missouri relating to the 2014 roofing project, D Barracks on Kemper campus, a copy of which is marked Exhibit A, is attached hereto and made a part hereof, is hereby approved. Section 2, that the city administrator and the city clerk are hereby authorized to execute and attest said agreement on behalf of the City of Boonville. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after its passage and approval. Passed this 15th day of September 2014 by the City Council of Boonville, Missouri.
Okay. Do I hear a motion we accept this resolution?
So move.
Thank you, Becky. How about a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kari. Discussion? Earl, did you want to make any comments on it, or?
No, this is you recall we talked about doing maintenance on primarily D barracks and A barracks, and the primary need on D is a roof, and so we're getting on with it.
Okay. Steve?
So, is this a flat roof?
It is.
20-year flat roof.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, roll call.
Young,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Ayers.
Yes. Thank you very much. Reports on standing committees. Historic Preservation Commission, Kari?
Yeah, we didn't really have a meeting. There wasn't a quorum, but Sarah dropped off those brochures. So I think everybody got those. That was pretty much it.
Okay. Boonville Housing Authority, Ned?
I was absent for the meeting, but the minutes are in front of us, and I think it's worthy noting that Bob continues to get excellent results in all of his reports.
Reports of city officials, city administrator?
Don't believe I had anything.
Mayor, I do have one thing. I received an email from Joan Reed. If you'll recall, she was here at the last meeting discussing the Missouri River relief cleanup that is scheduled for this Saturday. And I'm sure you've all been watching the river rise, and a lot of people have been curious if that's still going to happen. And so she called and sent me this email as a follow-up. She said, "I'm concerned people might be wondering about the upcoming cleanup on Saturday, given we are at flood stage at this time. I appreciate your help in making an announcement that the scheduled 9/20 cleanup is still a go. The National Weather Service River Watch forecast for Boonville shows the river will be 9 feet below flood stage by this coming Friday. Missouri River Relief has been doing this for years, I believe 14 years, so they will keep everybody safe. And I'm sure if something changes between now and then that they will make appropriate changes in the safety of that." So she says, "Thanks for keeping our community informed." So that still is happening. If anybody asks you about it or if you're interested in helping, that still is going to happen. And that's all I have. City Councilor?
I have nothing this evening.
City Clerk, Mary?
And I have nothing this evening.
Okay. Miscellaneous. Should I look that way or not even look that way? Well, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Say aye. Aye. Thank you very much. We are adjourned.